Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. My name's Blade and this is my breakfast show. So, on the menu today for breakfast we have a code review or analysis. There's a subject for a Sunday morning, isn't there? Nothing like a good stretch of the imagination. So what am I talking about? Code reviews. You'll have heard about them if you're a programmer. And what are they? It's a bunch of people who get together and have a look at the code that you've written. So there is yourself, the author of the code, and there has to be at least one non-author of the code there to make the review happen. The idea of the review is to check for faults, improvements, learning how things are done, and new ideas. That's a code review. Code analysis, however, is what I'm about to do now. Here we go. Actually, we can get rid of it. No, we can't get rid of that. CLI, please. Code analysis is where you, the author, analyze your own code. So, there's quite a few different ways you can do that. Let's have a look at those different ways, shall we? The one thing you should not do is write a piece of code and then straight away analyze it. You have to leave it at least a day. You have to be able to forget enough of what you've done to make sure that when you read it again you understand what the concepts are that are going on. Right, let's see what's happening here. So here's the code. What we got from yesterday. Yes, we have our code working, of course, because I never leave a code. As you can see, M's disappeared, gone on holiday. There's a reason for that, and that's what we're doing this afternoon. Well, that's got nothing to do with what we're doing this morning. So this is the code. Everything's working as far as I can tell. Sort of. Yeah, okay, everything's working as predicted. So we'll do the review. We'll start by doing what we call just a manual read through. For instance, in main, just to give you an idea of what we did yesterday. But what I did last night anyway was I read through and realised that there's not really much we haven't done already, so I put the floor back in. Haven't changed anything else here. Put the map creation back in. Player position we get from the initialization now. And then when you come down here, the only difference you'll see is the main loop lost a load of information because we just don't have it in main anymore, to be quite honest with you. And everything else is fair enough and simple. So the only thing that really changed was the main loop. So let's see what changed in there. So main game loop, isn't it? What changed in there was the signature obviously, because we didn't have as much to place in here. So there we go. And I added 4 lines at the top, which use something called Object Lookup Component. Let me just get the chat out of the way a minute, so you can see the whole thing. So it's just 4 lines of player position, monster position, player model, monster model. And it's just lookup component and the type of component you want, the model ID, the object ID and the component that you want. And that's the only changes there. So in objects, game objects, source, well, header and source, we just added a new do-free. There it is. Big thing. That object lookup component, the object ID and the component, and we just return the object dot component, which is a pointer. So it's legal. And that's it. Everything works. That was the only changes that we didn't get to finish last night during the stream, but I did it whilst I had my tea, so I wasn't too fussy. So right, what happens when we want to do a read through? That's what I've just done, is a quick read through and an explanation, and that's how you do it. You just read through it and you try and explain it. And if you can't explain it, you look at the code and say, why can't I explain it? If you can't explain your own code, there's something wrong. All the object stats work. I did have to remove the float out of here, and as we'll see, there's big reasons for that because of memory issues, which it's just memory allocation in general. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 integers there with 32 bytes. And this is a 64 operating system. So what you've got is 3 64-byte blocks of memory, which has been assigned there. So putting a float in the middle of that lot just messed it up completely. And the compiler wasn't too happy with it. Well, it wasn't the compiler wasn't too happy with it, it was the IDE that wasn't too happy with it. So I took it out. We didn't need it anyway, not at this stage, it comes under combat. And it was base move that was removed, which was the float, which was 4.25 if you remember. But anyway, everything else now works beautifully until you start using the tools that you're given to dig a little deeper. So what can we do with our code? Reformat, auto indent, what have we got down here? Run inspection. That's always a good idea, but I can tell you now what the result is. It'll be a green tick, because I always go for the green tick in the top right hand corner of my screen, and that's what inspection is. It's your IntelliSense. So I already do that automatically as I go through. I check all warnings and I get rid of them. I don't ignore warnings. That's the first thing. So there's that. Locating duplicates is always worth running. Actually, I don't know if I've run it or not. No, I haven't, because I prefer to spot them myself. There's your little green tick in the top right hand corner up there. Over there. I don't want to run that other one yet because it might change the code. Right, the other thing you can do is you can run with this thing here called Valgrind. And I think it's under build. No, run. And in C programming, I would advise you to do this. Valgrind is an external tool. It's downloaded separately, and it can be used separately in any of the IDEs out there, including Microsoft. How does it work? It does this. It goes and walks through your program, picking up all the allocations of memory. See, the program still works, it's just a bit slow because it's looking at allocations of memory. It's not that slow though. Oh, and I took out all the rubbish out of input as well. Ooh. There's a big long one there. I'm just checking for duplications in maps. Right, so I've exited, which means Valgrind has now finished. You can now have a look at it, and it's got 10 warnings. And we've got 14 warnings that don't look good. We've got 64 warnings that are possible, and uninit condition 13 warnings, uninitialized conditions. So that's what Valgrind comes up with. Let's just have a look at the top one. This one's actually interesting. So, invalid read of size 1 warning. What does that mean? Well, let's have a closer look. So what's happening here in load shaders at 73? We are using string length. But the malloc. Size 108. So it's here. And that means if it's got 1, size 1, it means it should be 109. Because what we haven't considered is 1, that the file seek set, which is the one that we're using, file length, yeah. Can I go up and down in here? No, I can't. Okay. I need to go and have a look at that. I'm not going to do it now, but it just means that we're 1 out on our allocation. And it's because the size of char is correct, but the file length isn't. We've read 0 to the file length. And of course, we need to allocate 1 more than that because we started at 0. So it's actually file length plus 1 is the answer. And I believe it'll be exactly the same for the next one. Yeah, line 60. Line 60. So it's the same for both of them. So it's just one's the vertex shader and the other one's the fragment shader. There you go. Simple. I wouldn't even call it a mistake, it's an oversight. You can't get it right all the time, I guess, but that's an interesting one. Is Valgrind right or correct? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually debug that information, and I'm going to look at it more closely, and then I'll probably go on to some, I'll do these ones here, these 14, and these will just disappear. There's 64 warnings, there isn't that many. It's just repeated code. It's generating that. So I think we're doing alright. Now, the other part of code analysis, and this is going to shock everybody, isn't in here, isn't in the IDE at all. It's here. Watch your eyes, it just went bright. We are here. This is our map so far. And what this does is it allows me to see all the header files here. Down below it shows that main goes through object initialize, sand floor tile create, and sand window create. The floor tile goes on to the VAOs, vector append, vector resize. What I don't understand is why this call graph here hasn't included the main game loop. Which it should have done. But there may be a max on there. I might have got my variables wrong for that. Anyway, the main game loop looks something like this. So as you can see, I can delve down into it. You can ignore source common.h really and just look at these lines here. And there's a crossover there which I don't like for the utils. Sand combat and user input are both using matrix utils. I would like to know why user input is using matrix utils. So you can spot things like that. Now, why does it need it? I know why it needs it. Ah, main sequence through here. I see, puts it on this one instead. Oh, that's clever. Yeah, the call graph. It uses that because we do a recalculation of the camera in there. Which is a bit annoying. I'm going to check that. Input.h, isn't it? No, input.c. So that allows me to check things that I spot and think, there's something else. Yes, I'll get to that in a second, yeah. So I've spotted something, so I'll go and have a quick look at it. Put it that way. I know it's okay. What do I want to look at? Input. User input. Keyboard input, in fact. Oh no, I've just got it as user input. Okay. I changed its name to keyboard. User keyboard input. And we should have at the bottom here a calculation for the camera. And I've removed it. Okay. This is telling me that I've altered this file enough to say, don't matter. It's in current game state. Ah, here we go. Yeah, it's here. So that's the call into the utils. Found it, thank God for that. All I've done to this file is basically make it readable, because it was ugly, if you remembered. So I've split it down into back, forward, left and right dungeon map cell. So as you can see, it's -1 + 1, -1 + 1 in the X and Z positions. And yeah, it's quite simple really. Now, it's current key state and back, current key state and forward, current key state and right, whichever key you want. I've used ASWAD or SWDA because I've done it there. Never mind. But now it works better. It's not clumsy anymore, and all of the mouse input is gone because it's not in the roguelike. The last thing you can do to analyze your own code, I'll show you why, because I've done it in a file here, is use a system of to-dos. So we have 21 items in 9 files. So we've got 3 in the documentation, 2 in the doxy file. Main C has an item. That's the one that I'm going to... I was going to do that with input to show you. But I don't know whether it's worth it now. I've made it clear. Documentation, source, common. This should be a build. No, it should not, because we start at unused, and unused is -1. So we set the initial value of that is -1. So it can't be a bool. There you go. To do, done. Close file. Simple, huh? And that's how you can do it. You can check your to-dos, see if you want to do anything about them, really. There's 12 in core. Got 2 in game. I'm looking for the loot now. Got 8 items in main loot. Wow. Oh, that's because we haven't done... Oh, all of these have been done. No, they haven't. Not full. Yeah, they have. Yes, they have. We are using it. We added that function so that we could. Rendering functionality. I'll deal with it all at once, actually, from there down. We need to go back and update the monster properly, because the monster doesn't have a location anymore, bless him. So in this review I do actually have one to add. And it goes in main. I'm just wondering whether to put it in here or not. Because if you remember, we put the player position through to the map create dungeon. No, we're not going to do it here, is the answer. Yes, we are. So, to do. You can take them away and you can add them during analysis, but during analysis you can't change the code. That's the rule. You can come up with new ideas and you can take things out that are out of date, but you cannot change the code whilst you are doing some kind of code review or any kind of code analysis. You cannot change the code. You can just mark down items saying, hey, take a look at this. So to do, set the monster's position. Because that's what I've taken out. So that's clean. And if we go to shaders, wasn't it? I haven't looked at shaders in so long, it's unbelievable. Right, we have a memory allocation around 60-ish. Check shader error. Right, it isn't that. It's this bit here. It's the attached shader that's causing it. And it was coming out of core. Text user file. And there it is for you. Already highlighted. You see, we go to seek n, but we never take the value of fseek. Which is interesting. So I want I want the dot there, don't I? So let's just take a quick look at this because it's interesting. So we've used a tool called Valgrind. It said, hey look, when we're doing this OpenGL call on the shaders, it's not matching up with your calloc here. That may have to change to a malloc, by the way. Right, so I've got here. File length equals a silly number. Okay, buffer. Yeah, okay. Whatever. What we do now is we just go over there and we don't even look at it. So I don't even know how far it's moved. Gives the end of file in bytes. Okay, let's step over that then. Should be 108. Oh no, it's 3123. Interesting. It's an odd number. And the other one was even. I know something about this. And then we just reset it back to the start of the file so that we can read in. We then, so if it's not mod 2, we have to add one. Continue. I think it's on this pass, maybe this pass. There we go. 108. That's the fragment shader that's doing it. So it's line 73. That's interesting. I'm going to look this up because I think it's to do with the odds and the evens. and the packing of how it's written to disk, and it should be an odd number. Because of the end of file marker. And it packs it. It either leaves a space or a line at the end, or it doesn't. And I'm not sure if this is Linux only. It might be. Linux file system acts differently to Microsoft's. It's a faster filing system, and for good reason. It doesn't do a lot of the things that Microsoft file system does, which are completely irrelevant until you program it. So I'll double check my references on that before I change the program. But I think it's an odds and even thing, looking at that, because it doesn't shout at me for the first one. Or does it? Yeah. I need to check. I need to look at it closer. I know the answers, but whether the real answers still these days or not, they were probably 40 years ago, but not possibly today. So I've got to check it. I've got to double check myself. But those are all different things that you can do. The green tick and no little blobby saying warnings. That's one of the best things you can do. Another way of doing a code review, by the way, the last way of doing it, and the way that I actually do most of my own, no, not code review, code analysis, because I don't have another person to do a code review with, is to walk through your code. Let me just pop this back up. Hello there, N Mario Fan 251. Do I want to become famous? Do you know who you're talking to? That's my response. So the last way I do it is, for instance, in what have I changed recently? Object. The object file. So if I go to core game objects, for instance, as you notice when I'm typing it in, I'm just splattering it in. But if you have a look at my other files, they look nothing like this. They all look more like this. So I know which bits of my code I've analysed. Yeah, because I write my code downwards, and I don't usually, whilst on stream, write it downwards like this. So what I will do now is I will, after this chat finishes, I will be going through this file because I can see that we've had heavy alterations, and I will clean it all up by doing strange things like that. Actually, no, it's not a good way of doing it. You go to the end one first, and you hit that. And then you go to here, and you hit that. And that's it. The other thing I'll probably do is cut that and place it in a good place, like here. There you go. And that's what I do. And as I go through the code doing this, I look at the code, decide whether I understand it or not, because I can read it once. I can't read this code here because I've got dyslexia, and it just drives me mental. So what I do is I block it down so I can at least interpret what I'm saying and space it out. So there we go. That is how I do my code analysis, or different ways of doing it. I can't do a code review because I've got nobody to do it with, but otherwise as a community, if you see something or have a better idea than what I've put in, you must say so. Really, because again, I'm human, I can't think of everything, and somebody out there will be thinking, why has he done it that way? Just ask. And the answer is, because it was the first thing I thought of at that instant in time. And I just splattered it onto the page and hoped it'd work. That's programmers for you. And after that, I think I'll let you go and get on with the rest of your day. No questions? M Mario fan 251. Cheers, mate. Goodbye. God bless. Because you're not famous. Now, where is that button? Whee! It's over here. Catch you laters.